What is going on, everybody? I know why you're here. You know why you're here. We all know why you're here. That's for some top-notch fantasy football content coming at you from the Fantasy Council. What's going on, guys?
How we doing? How we doing?
How we
Excited to
doing?
be here.
Yes, sir. Today we're doing a little bit of a would you rather scenario. So we're gonna bring some players, talk about who they have on our team the rest of the year, and yeah, let's jump right into it. And you guys want to go first?
Rob, you want to kick us off?
I'll kick us off. Rest of the season. I'm going to start at the quarterback position, right up at the top of your fantasy lineup. Rest of the season, would you rather have Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa?
Wow, I think you want me to answer first here, Miles? Can I go?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think it's too. I mean, you love the Miami offensive upside. Tua had a huge week. It's Tyreek Waddle. You can't go wrong. I do think this new Kellen Moore Chargers offense wasn't fully unleashed. I mean, they had some nut success with the run going in that Dolphins game. I mean, Josh Kelly had 16 carries. Eckler had 16 carries. They were running the ball more than I think anyone expected. But I think it also, if you watch the game, it was because of how successful it was. And I don't think that's going to be a thing that lasts all season. I think the Chargers are going to throw the ball. They're going to take shots. And if I'm taking QB the rest of the year, I'm personally going to be safe and still take Herbert. I get a two argument, but I'm still taking Herbert myself.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see the argument. I mean, the fact that I have to think about it a little bit, it's a testament to Tua and what he showed week one with the Dolphins. But yeah, I would still take Herbert myself. I mean, you guys know I'm a huge Herbert guy. I have him in so many leagues. I think coming into this year, I was thinking like he's my dark horse. I mean, not really too much of a dark horse, but my dark horse to finish QB1 overall. I mean, we saw a couple years ago when he finished QB2 when he was fully healthy. And I love Herbert. And I agree with you, Chris. Yeah, Joshua Kelly had 95 yards. He was running like 6 a clip. It was like ridiculous. Like I was like, who is this Joshua Kelly? I've never seen him look that good. But I think I would definitely take Herbert. He's also definitely due for positive touchdown regression in the rushing department. I think last year there was a stat. He had an absurd amount of attempts without a single rushing touchdown. I don't remember the exact stat, but he didn't have a rushing touchdown, and it was pretty crazy.
He can move a little. He had that the rib stuff going on too, so you don't want to get hit. You know, that definitely affected him. Kind of
torn labrum,
yeah,
shoulder problems, a lot of injuries all around. So yeah, and then also you think about Tua's durability, like he could so easily just be gone playing football with a concussion. Yeah, so there's that too.
And like there is a lack of rushing upside from Tua. I mean, Herbert I'd say is a little higher. Tua really doesn't ever run. Yeah. I remember the last time Tua did anything running.
Yeah.
And I mean, his best week of the season was 27, 28 last week. Probably the best week we'll have all year, which is great. Probably was like QB3 or whatever, but like he had 400 yards and like 3 touchdowns. Like we'll see.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. I'm sticking with Herbert as well.
Yeah, definitely closer than I think what meets the eye. But
yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna hit you guys with a little bit of a running back one here. One guy I was kind of surprised about to see his usage and whatnot. I'm gonna give you guys Travis Etienne or Joe Mixon.
For me, I don't think this is too difficult. I don't mind either, but I'm definitely leaning Travis Etienne at this point.
I would as well.
Travis Etienne, I mean, listen, we always talk about it with running backs and that age gap. You know what I mean? Mixon's 27 years old now? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yeah,
27. I mean, Travis Etienne, he's a ripe 24 years old. He's in a phenomenal offense. Trevor Lawrence is humming, and he's getting the ball as a receiver, which is something that we didn't really see from him last year as much as we thought we were going to see from him. But he's getting the ball as a receiver this year. He showed it off early. He's big for explosive runs. And I think that Jaguars offense is pretty close up there with the Bengals offense in terms of, you know, how much points they're going to output on a week-to-week basis. They're going to be a good offense. And I think Travis Etienne kind of gives you more of a big play ceiling. He's a little younger. I would say there's definitely more upside. I would say at this point in their careers, Travis Etienne is the more talented running back, and I would go with Etienne for sure.
Yeah, definitely ETN for me as well. Like the upside, like you said, he can break off a big play at any time. And Mixon he's not as good as he used to be. I mean, last year we even saw he was really not that good last year. Most of his
Terrible efficiency.
He had 55 points in one game when he had 5 touchdowns, and that was almost a third of his not a third, but close to a third of his fantasy
I think
points.
It was close to a third, probably.
Mike Evans game.
If he, like Mike Evans did last year too. Like if he doesn't have that game, we're talking about him completely different coming into this year. And then like you said, the age. I like taking that younger guy on an offense that should be very good with the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely like Travis Owners. He had a huge week. You love the receiving work he got. I mean, I think it's definitely Travis as well. I do think Mixon still underrated. Got majority of those snaps in Cincy. Terrible game script. I think he's a guy that's going on the radar too. But I guess I would, if I was to revert the question, like who's a guy? Maybe like I would still take Travis over like a guy like Ramondre Stevenson. I mean,
based on what I saw week 1, I'm pretty high on Travis Etienne.
I'm too.
Yeah.
Nothing really against Joe Mixon. I think he have a solid year, but I really like Etienne going forward.
I guess
I think a lot of the worry about Bigsby. I mean, also Bigsby didn't have a great game, which I feel like that's also a factor. So I think that honestly that might be one of the most important things that we didn't see a lot of Tank Bigsby and him looking like he was talked up to be in camp.
Yeah, he did vulture that one rushing touchdown, but I mean, Etienne still had a huge day. So I mean, you love to see that if you're an Etienne owner.
Yeah. So you guys good on that?
Yeah.
All right, I'll hit you with mine. Gonna go to receiver here. I'll hit you with Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk.
You're talking to the Robbie loves Ayuk guy.
I know what Rob's answer will be.
You go first, Chris.
Interesting one. I'm pretty certain I'm taking Ayuk here. Just talent wins out. I think Ayuk's extremely underrated. I think you could argue top 15 most talented receivers in the NFL. Would love if he had his own room in a different offense, be the number one guy. But Deebo does have like his upside, solid week, big play guy. Apparently had a great offseason as well, just working on his body and his game, obviously. But I mean, Ayuk had a huge week 1. It's the same offense, so there's a lot of mouths to feed. But if you were asking me who I'd prefer, I'm taking Ayuk for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with Brandon Ayuk. And as funny as it may sound, I don't mind Deebo Samuel either. Obviously, he's got the rushing upside. He's more of a threat after the catch than Ayuk is. He's probably a little more explosive after the catch when he's got the ball in his hands. He's a good runner with the ball. He's almost kind of more like a running back / receiver hybrid, as we all know. But yeah, I'm going with Brandon Ayuk. 8 of 8. He made a spectacular catch in the end zone. He looks phenomenal. I think what we saw week 1 is that Brock Purdy is going to go to Brandon Ayuk in much all those high leverage situations in the red zone. He likes Ayuk. He likes Ayuk on third down. I think Ayuk's going to be Brock Purdy rather. I think he's going to be his guy. And I think we're going to see a pretty big season from Brandon Ayuk. I don't think week 1 was a fluke. I'm not saying he's going to finish wide receiver 2 like he did in week 1, obviously. But I don't think a high-end wide receiver 2 season is out of the range of outcomes for Brandon Ayuk. I think it's actually pretty likely that he finishes as a high-end, very high-end wide receiver 2, somewhere in that like 13 to 14, 15 range. I think is very realistic for Ayuk, and I'd take him all day over Deebo right now.
Yeah, I think especially after week 1, I would take Ayuk, and I was taking Ayuk more than Deebo. I was never taking Deebo in any of my drafts for redraft. But he was someone I was completely out on before the offseason, but he's like someone I've kind of warmed up to a little bit more as time has gone on. But yeah, Ayuk was the draft day value, and I think he's the better player to have at this point. And man, Brock Purdy looked good. I think he looked really good. I love Brock Purdy. You love the story. And I think we were all a little weary of what he was going to look like coming back from that UCL. And I think he looked really good. Yeah.
That offense was humming. I mean, one thing we didn't mention at all in this conversation was Christian McCaffrey. Just post trade, Deebo doesn't really run the ball nearly as much. He's not as gadgety since McCaffrey's got on there, obviously, because McCaffrey's McCaffrey. So I think that also just kind of adds to the fire. Definitely Ayuk, I think, from all three of us.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to stick in the wide receiver room here. I think I got it for you guys, but I think is a pretty interesting one. And this one's really hard for me, too. I haven't even made up my mind on my own question yet. But I'm going to hit you with Calvin Ridley or Chris Olave for the rest of the season.
Wow. I mean, you can see the jersey in the back. You can see the jersey. My dynasty team name's Olave guy. I'm a huge Olave guy. But you want me to go first, Miles? I can go.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, why not? That's tough for me. If we're being realistic, as much as I love Olave, I think I'm taking Calvin Ridley. One, I love to see Christian Kirk didn't have much involvement nearly as much as we would have thought week one. Ridley was getting fed from the jump. I think he had 125 yards, touchdown, just the whole game. There's peppering him with looks, and I think he's their alpha. I think he's obviously still talented. The reports of offseason were insane. I mean, I became kind of a fan to a major fan by the time we were drafting, and I wanted him on my leagues. And week one, he really showed the part. Don't get me wrong, I love Chris Olave. He's gonna have huge boom weeks stretching the field. Carr will take his shots. I was just a little bit surprised by the Michael Thomas kind of involvement. It kind of scared me. I mean, Carr was looking at him a lot, and he got targeted a decent amount. Shaheed also had a big touchdown. They're both studs. You can't go wrong either way, but I think Calvin Ridley could have that top 5 receiver upside that Olave just doesn't have yet.
Yeah, I think I'd take Ridley as well. Big reason why, I mean, he's tied to Trevor Lawrence. You love to take the receiver with the better quarterback. I mean, Trevor Lawrence blew up the end of last year, and he looked good this week one. And I was also surprised by other Saints receivers' involvement. I thought Olave was just going to be the guy. But yeah, Michael Thomas making a comeback. I mean, we'll see if he can survive the next couple weeks. But I think right now I would take Ridley.
Let me pose one more question to you. Say Michael Thomas. I hate asking this question, actually. It's pretty stupid. But if Michael Thomas were to get injured, would that change your mind?
I mean,
or are you still going Ridley?
There's more target comp if Thomas was to get hurt in Jacksonville, but I just do think overall that offense is just such a juggernaut offense. Peterson's got a great system, and Ridley's their number one guy. He's just an alpha. The MT injury makes it really close for me. I think Olave flirts with that top 6, top 7 range if that were to happen. He's already a fringe wide receiver 1. I think I'm still sticking Ridley in that situation, at least right now, but that's a great question.
No, yeah, that was a really good question, that Ridley or Olave, because it's not something I was really thinking about, because obviously before the year we're all taking Olave. We all loved Olave, Everyone loves Olave loved Olave before the year, and we still do. But yeah, that's very interesting that how Ridley is kind of past him. That I definitely would take Ridley still, I think.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna hit one with the tight end position here. After a huge game on Thursday night, I think this is a tough one because I was high on him all offseason. I'm curious to see what you guys think. T.J. Hawkinson or Mark Andrews? Assuming Mark Andrews, he's going to play this week in practice in full Friday. Assuming he plays the rest of the year healthy, which of the two would you rather have? You can play a part too, but.
I figured once you said the big Thursday night game, I figured it was going to be T.J. Hawkinson and Mark Andrews that you answered. So I started thinking about it immediately, and it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough.
It is tough.
Because Mark Andrews, man, assuming he's healthy, of course. Oh, man, because T.J. Hawkinson looks good. He's getting a lot of targets.
People forget that Mark Andrews 1,300 yard year 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's great with Lamar. Like, his down-ish year was with Huntley. That was the.
I don't want this to be an overreaction. But the way I see it right now, I feel like I kind of want to go with T.J. Hawkinson. There's a part of me, listen, 2 weeks ago even, I couldn't imagine saying this. I know Mark Andrews hasn't played yet, and once he comes back and hopefully has a nice week, if he puts up 25 next week, my mind will probably change right back. But T.J. Hawkinson I think he looks like the tight end 2 in fantasy right now. I really do. I mean, he's getting a bunch of opportunities in that offense. All they do is pass the ball. T.J. Hawkinson is the number 2 in that offense behind Justin Jefferson. And when you're getting that kind of target volume and the touchdown upside in your tight end spot, it's really hard to say no to. more so because I've already seen it from TJ Hawkinson. He had a 15-point week in week 1. Obviously comes out, gives you a huge week in week 2. Listen, like I said 2-3 weeks ago, I couldn't imagine saying this, but I think right now I would lean towards TJ Hawkinson.
I mean, I don't blame you at all. I think part of it is that we haven't seen Andrews yet. I think once we see it, because the thing is, and I would take Andrews here. I'll say that. The thing is, we haven't seen Andrews play, and I feel like we might forget about him. Like, he has the potential. Well, he will be the number 1 target in the Ravens offense. And never be that. But countering that with the passing volume of the Vikings, they're going to pass a lot more than the Ravens. It does make you think about it more. I think it's a lot closer than people might realize at this point, because I think Hawkinson has a lot of upside. I mean, we saw last year he had like a 39-point game last year.
Huge games.
Yeah, a couple of those. Yeah, so it's definitely tough. I think Andrews will be the more consistent of the two for sure. Maybe Hawkinson gives you more upside, but I think I would still take Andrews at this point.
Yeah, I saw a tweet the other day that was very interesting, saying that they think you could argue Hawk could be the dynasty tight end 1 right now. And I mean, you think about it, he just got that huge contract. I'm still going on the Andrews debate here, but he just got that huge contract. So the Vikings, they know what they have in him. They just gave him a bag.
Yeah.
And I mean, he looks great. That offense is just so pass heavy. Like, they were second in pass attempts last year. They're going to throw the ball like we saw the other night, like crazy. And I think as an Andrews owner in Dynasty, I think I'm taking Hawkinson here just for this year, obviously still. But I mean, I think week to week, it's tough for him to not have over 10 points every week. And at the tight end position, that is huge. I mean, look at all these duds we had this week. Kittle, dud. Darren Waller, dud. Mark Andrews didn't even play. Like, Kelsey didn't play. Like, he's extremely valuable. He gives you a huge positional advantage. And obviously, we're still talking about Mark Andrews here. Haven't seen him yet. Could be overreacting a little bit on my end here. But I mean, Hawk is balling. I mean, I think, and the pass-heavy offense is also a thing. Like, the Ravens, we'll see what happens. Their offense was looking okay, but with Monk in the week 1, we'll see what Andrews does. But I think if you're being safe, smart here, the bet is on TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah, it's just has so much to do because we already see it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we haven't seen Andrews yet, and yes, things can change. Fantasy changes very quickly, very rapidly. Our opinions will change with what happens on a weekly basis, but seeing what TJ Hawkinson's done already, I mean, it's so hard not to take him, especially with how the rest of the tight end landscape is, like you said. It's only through 1 week, but we haven't seen a big tight end performance yet. We just saw TJ Hawkinson Thursday night week 2 put up a very big week for a tight end and looked good doing it. So, yeah, I like Hawk.
Yeah, I mean, you guys almost talked me out of my Andrews decision already. No, but yeah, I think we need to see Andrews for sure. I mean, they didn't, I feel like maybe the passing game didn't look like super good from the Ravens, but they were also playing the Texans. Like, they didn't really need to do anything to beat that team, So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see for sure. I think we might get an answer if Andrews plays week 2. Honestly.
He should play.
A definitive answer.
Practice in full. We'll see what happens. I hope it's a big week. I need this week, but
so do I.
All right. So I'll hit you guys with another one with 2 receivers from the same team. Terry McLaurin or Jahan Dotson.
You want to start off, Rob, or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll start off. I was actually going to use Terry McLaurin for my next one, but Terry McLaurin and Dotson is super interesting. It's hard because Terry McLaurin was on a snap share a little bit. He's kind of more used as decoy in week 1, coming off that turf toe injury that he had in preseason. So I mean, you got to take what he did in week 1 with a grain of salt. That's just not Terry McLaurin playing. That's him being a decoy.
Right.
Jahan Dotson, I was expecting a bigger week from Jahan Dotson. The thing is, with both of these wide receivers, is that a lot of people were high on Sam Howell, and he didn't look very good week 1. So if I had to pick one of them, though, I think I would go with Terry McLaurin right now. It's pretty close for me. It's like really not too far apart. I'm leaning Terry because, what we saw from Dotson week 1 wasn't too encouraging, and we haven't seen what Terry McLaurin will do yet. I mean, like I said, it's kind of hard to do something like this after 1 week of football, but
Right.
I think I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin. He's been, I mean, yeah, he's never given you he's never given a top 20 wide receiver finish, I believe, in fantasy.
I think it's
like maybe
it's top
16.
12. I think he's never been top 12. He's finished as 14 before.
Okay.
But yeah, he's always been like around 20, 21, 20. 14 was like the one big year.
I think I have to go with McLaurin here. Even though I do like Dotson, the player, a lot, I think he is going to be a very good wide receiver in the NFL. But this season going forward, if you had to take my bet down right now, I'd probably rather have Terry McLaurin.
I mean, let's not forget, like, Terry's coming off that turf toe injury, might have been kind of a slower week for him. I personally am out on both of them. I didn't love the way the offense looked with Bieniemy. I mean, he's coming from the Chiefs where they spread the ball a ton last year, like just the Chiefs do. And I think like Logan Thomas had like 6 targets. The target share was just so spread out. I mean, what's his name? Curtis Samuel had 5 for 54. Like Curtis Samuel obviously had like those first 3 big weeks last year, then he faded out. But like, I don't love to see 4 guys kind of getting equal targets here when they're supposed to be 2 alphas. I mean, Sam Howell's in his first full season starting. I mean, I'm just saying I don't like either of them. I would trade both, but if I'm going between the two, I mean, it seems like Howe and Dotson have this kind of connection and whatnot. But Terry's proven he's done it before. Consistent wide receiver 2. He's been the last 3 years, I think. So, I mean, give me Terry in this argument, I guess, just to be safe. But I hate them both.
Yeah. I would still I would still take Terry as well. Yeah, like you said, they're spreading the ball around, and I feel like a lot of people coming in this year maybe thought that McLaurin and Dotson could both be productive, because we've really seen that happen over the last couple of years, with Waddle and Hill and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Obviously, they have Sam Howell at quarterback, but I feel like a lot of people expected it to be like they would both be playable. But that's a good point you brought up about them spreading the ball around. Yeah, but I would still take McLaurin. He had a couple deep balls, DPIs too, that don't show up on the stat sheet. That I think
Very
that's
true.
worth noting. But yeah, that's all really.
Nah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm not too thrilled starting either of them at this point, though, to be completely honest.
Yeah, sell them. Not the sell high video, but sell them.
I got to go one more wide receiver question. It's the last one. We'll move on to some RBs after this. But these are 2 wide receivers that put up absolute duds in week 1. I mean, one missed part of the game, but even when he was in, wasn't too encouraging. So these 2 guys are guys that are flex plays probably going forward, but I want to see which one you guys like better. I'm going to say Tyler Lockett or Christian Kirk.
I mean, I have my answer 100%, my opinion.
Yeah, I know my answer as well.
And that's going to be Tyler Lockett for me. Didn't love Kirk played a decent amount, a lot, majority in the slot last year, but I think Calvin Ridley, what do you have, 1 catch for 6 yards in week 1, Christian Kirk did?
Something like that.
Something close to that, yeah. I mean, I hate to see that. And Zay Jones had more targets, higher target share, whatever. And like Evan Ingram's obviously still there. They signed him this offseason. Just think there's a lot of mouths to feed. And sure, it's a juggernaut offense, but I'm just taking Lockett over him for sure. I mean, yes, Lockett had a bad week too, but Lockett's just done it so many times. Yeah. Still Geno, a lot of more deep targets, bigger touchdowns, more fantasy upside. I'm taking Lockett all day long.
Yeah, me too. I'm 100% taking Lockett there. Although I do think Kirk could have a decent week against the Chiefs, who just struggled against Amon-Ra, who plays out of the slot. So I think that could be something. Maybe it'll be a window to sell Christian Kirk, get off of him if he bounces back a little bit week 2. But yeah, I would take Lockett 100%. I don't really have much more to say about it.
Yeah, I thought I'd propose a question because I feel like they're 2 wide receivers that are kind of in similar situations where it's a deep room, a lot of mouths to feed, what should be a good offense, even though the Jaguars look better. So, I mean, yeah, Tyler Lockett's a better player. You also got to keep in mind Christian Kirk's getting paid a boatload of money, so they should get him involved, you would think. I just thought it was 2 wide receivers who were in pretty similar situations. Both had good years last year, and both done it out in week 1. So I just wanted to get your guys' opinion, see who you like going forward.
Definitely. super talented. So's Lockett. Both crowded rooms. I'm taking Lockett in my end for sure.
Yeah,
And
me too.
I'll hit you guys. I think we can wrap it up with one more on my
Yeah,
end.
you go ahead. Send this
Call
up.
it a day here. I mean, this is what I've talked about in our other videos with some buy low guys, but Ken Walker or James Cook?
I'll start us out here. I have,
go ahead.
I think I have what could be a controversial answer, but I'm going to take James Cook. Honestly, I think he looked great week 1. I thought he looked so good when he touched the ball. He's in a much better offense. The Buffalo Bills, I mean, the Seahawks and the Bills both look bad in week 1, but pretty sure we're projecting the Bills to be a higher scoring offense on a weekly basis than the Seahawks. Obviously, they have the quarterback. James Cook has got way more receiving upside than Ken Walker does, and I think he's got way less threats to kind of indulge into his workload. Like, we know the Seahawks drafted Zach Charbonnet, who did absolutely nothing in week 1, but it was only week 1, and he's a rookie. And I think Zach Charbonnet will definitely tend to see more involvement coming down the line. As crazy it is right now, I really think I'm going to go with James Cook here. I mean, he only had 10 points last week. Obviously, no touchdowns, but he was involved in the passing game, involved as a runner, really kind of took on that workhorse role that people wanted to put on him in the offseason that I wasn't completely buying into until what I saw week 1. But, I think I slightly lean James Cook. It is close for me. I was kind of out on Kenneth Walker, too, before the season because of this Zach Charbonnet thing. Now that I saw the Seahawks offense look kind of rough, I think I'm going to go with James Cook right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't really blame you, honestly. I think the Charbonnet point, he did nothing week 1, but you're right. Like, he'll get worked in. They didn't draft him in, the second round for nothing, you know? So he'll get worked in. It's tough for me. I want to say I'll still take Kenneth Walker. I just don't believe a Bills running back can be that productive for fantasy. Yeah, we haven't seen it yet, so I'll go with what I know. I'll go with Kenneth Walker. He looked great last year. He's a big play threat. He can always bust off a big touchdown run. It's going to be interesting to see what the goal line work looks like. I think that'll be something to watch. Maybe that would give me more of an idea of who I would take because, the Seahawks offense didn't really get there that often against the Rams.
What they scored against the Bills.
Yeah, true.
Tougher matchup, though. Tougher matchup.
Yeah.
That's very true. But I think Kenneth Walker's more likely to be used on the goal line than James Cook in general. So that, seeing how Charbonnet is worked in there, I think is important. But right now, I would still take Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern of James Cook is the goal line work. We'll see what happens. They didn't really have a ton of goal line things going on in that game. We couldn't really see it, but also he's a little bit undersized. There's some durability concerns, I guess, a little bit. I would take Ken Walker by a slight margin, just because of the upside. I think. Yeah, I think Charbonnet will kind of be used a little more here. They used a second round pick on him. They're going to play him for sure. But Ken Walker has those big play abilities that I don't think James Cook really has. Ken Walker can break one off anytime. Had one of the highest percentages of that last year. And he looked great. He looked great on the ground. He had 4 or 5. He had 5 targets, caught 4 of them, which is you love to see. He played more snaps than Tony Pollard did, than Bijan did, percentage-wise. I'm a Ken Walker fan now. And I like you, Rob. I wasn't super in on Ken Walker to start the year at all, but after that week 1 performance and seeing what happened, I'm in on him now. And he's got the Lions this week. I think he's gonna have a huge game. I mean, I love both of these guys, to be honest. I'm slightly leaning Ken Walker on my end, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting because both of these guys were guys who I didn't like this offseason, who I do like now based on week 1. But I just think there's less concern about can anyone take James Cook's carries away from him. Damian Harris was almost a non-factor in week 1. I mean, he didn't get a lot of work at all. Charbonnet didn't either, but, I mean, one of them is the ascending asset and one of them is the descending asset, obviously being Damian Harris is descending as he's getting older. He's already been in the league for a while. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, it might be a little controversial to say it this early on. We've only seen 1 week. But I have a weird knack that James Cook's gonna have a pretty nice season. He looks pretty involved, and he looks sharp when he's touching the ball.
Yeah. Valid. Can't go wrong either way, I don't think. But yeah, I think that wraps it up. You guys good? You got any more? Or
No,
No,
That was good.
if we got it, we'll probably come at you with another one next week.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah, sure.
That was an awesome video. Yeah, we'll come back with one of these probably next week, week after. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. If you agree with us, disagree, and whatnot. And yep, it's the Fantasy Football Council. Sign out.
Peace.
Have a good one, guys.